Hello everyone, introduce myself. I'm Ramit. I'm a life coach and I have experience in crisis support and I have done psychology and I'm someone who is interested in self-development and like to learn. So that's why I have created this podcast and invited everyone to join and share the knowledge. Here with us today we have Janith Rajapaksha. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Ramit. And welcome all the listeners. I am Janith Rajapaksha. I am a BSc graduate in counseling and psychology. And at the moment, I'm working as an IAL educator, as a psychology teacher. And also, I'm a registered counselor and also a certified life coach. And also, I'm under training to become a dance movement therapist. Yeah, and that's about it.
I have seen in your social media about like dancing and stuff. That's why I asked, uh, how did you go to learn about it and stuff. That's very
It was,
interesting.
yeah, mostly it was self-learned
Okay,
behind the door. So we have bathroom singers.
yeah.
I'm a bathroom dancer. So that's how it started, and slowly now developing into something that I feel like which bridges the gap between psychology and arts. So that is my passion.
Today we are talking about emotional regulation. If I ask, what are emotions?
Yeah. So first of all, I think two men have sat for a podcast to speak about emotions. That is a great win
Yeah.
because, stereotypically, men are not supposed to be emotional, and,
Mm.
women digest it quite often. So that's a great win for mental health. And talking about what emotions are, actually, people tend to resonate emotions with how they feel at the moment. But actually, that is not it. Like psychologically and in every way speaking, emotions are the infrastructure for a very complex biopsychosocial response that we give to a certain situation. Like for an example, you see something, you encounter some sort of a situation, how you feel is has it's very multifaceted. It has a biological component to it, how your body, how your neurochemicals work, and how your psychology works, and how the society or the external factors work for it. So I think that is why it is not just a feeling, because sometimes when we feel something, we start beating ourselves down. Why am I feeling it? And I'm wrong for feeling this. And this creates a lot of, mental health disparities. So I feel like knowing what emotions are is very important, and it is very multifaceted.
Usually women are more emotional, men are more logical. Those are gender roles that we have. And like you said, when things happen, we have an internal battle as well in our inside. When something happened, or maybe traumatic, or maybe something simple, or maybe very dramatic, but end of the day, we tend to have a battle with ourselves more than the situation or more than the feeling. And I would like to share, we were at a conference recently done by ICF, and I was at the emotional booth as well. So this is
Oh,
a
nice.
coincidence. So there were school children who came, men like boys and girls who wanted to talk about emotions and everything. But what I understood was men were very shy, like they didn't want to talk much. They would give short answers, but girls were very open about it and they would share everything. And me and there was another lady who's a ICF coach as well. She was explaining about, giving example about glasses, how when we have emotions, we our glasses can get smudged or like can be distracted. So it's better to remove it and uh, take a pause and react. One of the examples I gave was a pond. When we are emotional, it can have a like everything will shatter, like everything is everywhere, so we can't clearly think about it. And we asked, there were in the booth there were questions as well for coaches, and we could ask them, and they came with a prompt as well. Like there were a prompt about how they study and they don't feel the effort is enough when they get bad marks. So they feel guilty, they feel not enough. So those are the things that children go through. So in adulthood, there's more. So we go through a lot, and it's better to understand our emotions. And one thing we share was to name the emotion, so we understand how we are feeling. That's something that most people don't understand, is they don't know how they're feeling. What do you think about that?
I think that is one of the techniques that we use. Name it to tame it. That is what we use because um, I I also personally believe that your vocabulary is your limit. The amount of words you know is the limit that you put to yourself. So in emotional vocabulary also, if you don't know how to express what you are actually feeling, you cannot act because you will end up being feeling confused all the time. So for a child who's things are not working out, and they are feeling that they're not good enough, they're not worthy enough, they need to understand what kind of feeling this is and where it started all along, because it is not just one particular incident that is making them feeling like this. And because after a point you build what we call a narrative for you. That, for an example, let's say if a child gets bullied one time in school, and then uh, okay, so one particular incident tells them that okay, something's not right. Okay, so they saw something and they said something. It is as simple as that. And then the same thing happens again, and then you feel like, huh, okay, something's wrong. Is it them or is it me? And then you on and on and on. It's accumulated for a very long time. You end up feeling like this is not a safe space for me, for a person, and they create this narrative. The world is not a safe space for me. And from that point itself, you withdraw from cases. You don't go forward and achieve your dreams. You want big things. You believe that you are a phoenix who can spread the wings and fly, but you feel like some invisible glass ceiling is there and stopping you. And you're confused because you don't know how to name it. And it did not start from that point. It's because for a very long time you have created a narrative for yourself. World is not a safe space. And now from that, you are feeling confused, you're feeling guilty, you're feeling sad, you're feeling like you're a failure, you're feeling lot of and frustrated. And when other people are moving forward, you feel jealous. So, and jealous also, there are different types of jealousy. So you need to know what is, I think, the best part about knowing, having a good emotional vocabulary is you're very much aware. You're very much aware about how you're feeling. And it is kind of like a third person view to you that, oh, you're feeling this. And you know how to rationalize what you're feeling. And just like you said, the guys being very shy and girls being open, because I feel like these emotions, the moment somebody say emotions or emotional, people create a picture of a person crying, which is not true. Because emotions, for an example, if you see the movie that is Pixar movie Inside Out, I think that is one of the greatest movies that explains how our emotions work. Because there like how the happiness, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, and in the second movie, it even further elaborates our emotions. And finally, what was the taking from that movie? Everything. Emotions had so many faces. So it is not just a crying crybaby thing that should come to our mind. Emotions have different faces, and knowing how to work with it is what's important. So men can be emotional, women can be emotional. The thing is, the bad part is, even for men and women both, to getting carried away with those emotions. If you don't take the steering wheel into your hand, emotions will take it and they will drive your life. And we don't want that. We should have the steering wheel and emotions should drive with us. So I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, we carried away with our emotions, and end of the day, everyone has like the control of our own life, not emotions. But we tend to be slave to emotions and let emotions control us, so we react to emotions. And something you mentioned before we started the podcast is uh, when we don't know how we are to regulate, we think that's who we are, that's our
Hmm.
personality. Do you like
Yes,
to share something about it? Give me a second.
yes,
There's another TV series as well. I can't remember the name now. Pixar's
yes.
TV show, a cartoon that's similar like what you mentioned,
Inside
Inside
Out.
Out. Yeah, yeah. It's about uh, TV series.
Soul, is it Soul?
No, no. It's very underrated. Like not much people know about it. Uh, it was a short TV series, and it was about uh, a group of children, and they were uh, give me a second. Win or lose. Something I want to share is this is very like if you enjoy Inside Out, this is something similar but more emotional. Like it's about win or lose. It's about a story that happened in 2 days. Like they were going to win a championship, and how the same situation seen by five people. So
Hmm.
the coach and the coach's daughter, and uh, there was a person who is like the referee. Referee is a perfectionist. He has OCD and he's overthinking, and he had a bad experience in dating. So the children, like I mentioned, there was a the the coach's daughter has a big pressure because she is someone who has like the coach's daughter, so she
Have to
need that.
maintain a reputation.
Yeah, maintain a reputation. And so there was this one hit and it was caught, and we don't know until was it we like the children caught it or not. So end of the day it got lost, but it's how people react to things. So there was a person who was like very cool and chill but inside very scared. So how boys react, how girls react, and even girls, like there was this girl's mother who has one job, and she's like to like balancing everything. And and one thing I have understood, like I said before, I have worked in a crisis support service. So I have worked at this crisis support service for 5 years, more than 5 years. I worked as a supervisor as well. So I have seen the uh, side that people don't see outside. So everyone struggle in a different way that we don't know. So that's something I want to share as well. Like if you watch that TV series, that's so emotional, and we have this phase, and even in social media, like we compare ourselves to a highlight reel of someone else. So that's something we do without knowing uh, who this person is, what are the struggles they are going through, and what are the things they don't share. So those are the things that came to my mind when you mentioned about Inside Out. And yeah, we carried away with our emotions as well. Like when there is some problem or like things, like you mentioned, we have given this narrative to ourselves. I'm someone who's like very angry all the time. So that's a narrative that we have given. And one thing I love coaching is the reason I became a life coach is narrative matters a lot. So whatever we talk to ourselves, the story we tell ourselves has a big impact. So in coaching, we talk about it, and we have a reality check. And something that was really interesting you mentioned was third view. So that's something we do as well, like as a coach, we step outside from the situation, from the client, and we ask questions. So having a third view, having a different perspective matters a lot. So to get to that question I asked about their personality, what do you think about it? Like,
So when you said like about the narrative, I'll start from that, and then I will come to that. Have you heard of this water experiment done by a Japanese researcher? So what this researcher, I can't recollect the name, but this is called the water research.
mhm,
So there were two identical rooms. Everything was same, room A and room B. And in room A, they kept a glass of water, and in room B also they kept a glass of water. And the researcher, the only thing he did different was he went to room A and said the most beautiful things that he could think of about this glass and the water. He said such a pure, beautiful, graceful glass of water, all these beautiful positive words. And then he went to the room B and he used the worst kind of narratives that you can tell about a glass of water, and he said it. And after some time, this went for a while, and then after some time, they took these glasses of water and they, I think, crystallized it, and then they clearly saw a difference. Room A glass, where the researcher said all the positive words, when they crystallized the water, these water became snowflakes, like with beautiful, intricate designs. But in the room B, when you crystallized it, it was just a mess. It's like messy crystals, and it was not like pleasant. And then the whole point was, what are we made out of? 60 to 80% of our body
what
is
is
water.
water?
And what are we saying to ourselves? And then we complain, why aren't things happening to us? Why aren't good things happening to us? Hello, we are not saying good things to ourselves. Every single day we are beating the shit out of ourselves because again, coming back to that, our narrative is wrong, and our narrative is wrong because we are confused with our emotional vocabulary. And to give an example to understand how this narrative works,
Mm,
so for an example, let's imagine uh, a family where there's a child and parents are there, and the child have these very the parents are very perfectionist and they want good grades, they want everything to be perfect, perfectly behaved, disciplined child. So every time child does something good, there is no appreciation. There's like, oh, you could do better,
mm,
or you could do like this. And then the child develops uh, we like to call it a schema that, oh, whatever I do, it's not enough. So I have to make it even perfect, even more perfect. There you go. Parents' perfectionism projected
mm,
to the child, and the child became a perfectionist. And then the child, maybe because in the very beginning, the child will perform really well in the school, the golden child. Every parent would say, like, look at that child, you
mm,
also be like that one. Like, they will be like that. But after a point, the child, because in the school it's very easy, it's I mean easy meaning because studying is their thing.
mm,
They will perform, they will study, and the teachers will point to that, ah, he had done a good job. And also, you come out of the school, it's not a school, it's the world.
real world.
They are not, yeah, and you can't excel just by doing your homework.
Mm,
Nobody's going to give you a tick and put a star and say very good, or give you a report card every 3 months and say that is not the system outside. And then the child, oh, I maintained a reputation of a golden child. Now what is happening? Now I feel like I can't handle this. So the child stops even trying.
mm,
The child stops even trying because if he sees one small possibility of failing, he will not do it.
mm,
So he will take on back, and then he gets frustrated, and then he gets, guilty. Why am I not doing this? I'm working hard. It's not happening to me. and then he deals with these emotions. And okay, now you're dealing with some emotions. If you don't know this backstory, if you don't know how your emotions were given to you, how it developed, and why you are dealing with it right now, you can't regulate it. The moment you are aware, okay, so this is not something that I consciously did. This was my surrounding and I was a victim, but I cannot be a victim anymore. I have the power and the awareness to take charge. That's when you can change. So emotional regulation is actually that sword, that battle armor. You can actually go forward and take up the war, take up our dreams.
Yeah. So that's something I really enjoy. What you were saying was about having the control, having the sword to change and create a life for yourself. Most people are stuck in this uh, prison of their limiting beliefs, and they think their emotions and their, and something I was fascinated was you mentioned uh, your vocabulary limit is your limit. So that's also something I believe, like the amount of things you know is the cage you make. So yeah, I think having emotional regulation is very important. If I ask what is emotional regulation, you gave us some small example about a sword, but if you can elaborate more.
Yes. So I really love this question because every time for a Sri Lankan, very especially, I don't know about I mean, all Asians, I feel like, because we come from a very collectivist uh, cultures, emotional regulation means doing the opposite. So if you feel sad, be happy. If you feel angry, be calm. That is not emotional regulation. That is suppressing. That is suppressing your emotions. And when you suppress your emotions, you are actually giving yourself a future opportunity going forward. Someday it's going to bottle up and you're going to burst out in a whole different way, and then you're going to question why did that happen, because you did not process it in the very first
Mm.
instant that you noticed it. So emotional regulation is not just suppressing. Emotional regulation is awareness, knowing what you are feeling, and actually having the courage to sit with it. I am sad and it's okay. I am feeling sad for a reason, but I'm not going to let this sadness stop me from taking the next step. That is emotional regulation for me. It's not just, oh, I'm sad, I will feel happy. Smile, give me a smile. That's what, even when you're small, also, that's how it is. Crying, so give me a smile. That's what we say to a small child so that they will stop crying. But actually, in an evolutionary point of view, the child is crying to actually fulfill a very primary need. It can be a hunger, it can be heat, it can be some sort of a need that the child is having, and we should let that. It's a valid cry, and they should know how to navigate through the cry. So yeah, so emotional regulation in a nutshell, that is it. It's about being aware, having a good vocabulary about the extent that you, uh, how much you feel and what you feel, and knowing how much to extent. Now, sadness also, am I going to be sad for 3 months, or am I going to be sad for this much? You have to listen to your body that, okay, this is, I'm going to feel this sadness because let's say you broke up, you broke up with the love of your life, and you can't be like, I'm not sad, I'm going to move on. That's going to come from place. It's a valid reason for you to feel sad. So it's okay. See, feel sad, but doesn't mean you should feel sad for the point that you are hurting others and you are hurting yourself. So I think this distinguish difference, I think people should understand about emotional regulation.
Yeah, I think you need a lot of self awareness to understand yourself, and you need to do that work within you to understand who you are, and, like you said, sit with uncomfortable emotions, And yeah, and something that you mentioned about is uh, not suppressing and deal with it, like work with it, go through the process, and you have to understand how much time or energy that you are willing to give to this emotion. That's also important. And back to the narrative, like if we share a story about, like, okay, this happened to me, so this is why this happened, and this is who I am, uh, that's a story that we create. I think that has a bigger impact than what happened or what we can achieve. And I
I think
really,
we can see that in relationships as well, because what happens is when you don't regulate it, our brain is wired for survival. So you will find different ways of coping. So you will develop these avoidant behaviors. You will start overthinking, because
mm,
the more you think, the more you worse you think. At least if that happens, I saw that coming.
mm,
You can at least feel a little bit better. At least I saw that coming. So we want that. That's why we overthink and we withdraw. We get into so much conflicts and we burn out. So that is why that's what happens. So I think we see this narrative part, that's this is who I am, in mostly in relationships as well, because we have these two attachment styles, anxious attachment and avoidant attachment. They are developed over time through childhood. Inconsistent caregiver attention actually results this. And then we come into relationships and then say, oh, I mean, I don't like to talk about things, I don't like
mm,
conflicts, that's who I am. I mean, I like peace. And I communicate, I want reassurance, that is who I am.
mm,
That is not these people. These are some sort of a wiring inside
mm.
you based on an environment you came from. You're not a victim of this. Don't call it, this is my personality.
That's something that's some uh, you mentioned, like victim. I didn't want to use it, but most people have this victim mentality. Okay, this happened to me, this is who I am. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's a story that you tell yourself. So end of the day, it's you fooling yourself, in my opinion. Like whatever you tell yourself is become the reality. And yeah, like you said, in Sri Lanka and in Asian countries, uh, we were given this advice: if you have a headache, take a Panadol. Like, if you are sad, don't be sad. If you're overthinking, don't overthink. That doesn't always apply, but like you said, it's important to know our emotions, why this happening, what is the reason. So it's something that I feel like there should be like emotional intelligence as well to understand those kind of things. If you say this to someone who doesn't have emotional intelligence, they might not understand. Like you said,
Yes.
avoidant and anxious, the people have this capacity, like you said about the vocabulary, like people have this capacity of understanding as well. So it's something hard to explain to someone who doesn't know. And you won't believe, I mentioned I went to I was in a workshop with children. So there was a girl who came around like maybe 13, 10, 13, those age. Like she told that how to overcome bottling up emotion. We were surprised, like they have this much of awareness in a young age. And that's a really good question, because people do that without knowing, and even men does this as well. And that's how rage and aggression come from men bottling up emotions for a long time. And even crying is not permitted, like a gender role, you shouldn't cry, you know, like okay, like a girl, don't cry, you know. That's the thing that people have given. So men, that's the reason 70% of suicides are men. So uh, bottling up emotions, those things, we do it without knowing sometimes. And people like who doesn't know, like we discussed, this is my personality, this is who I am. They have created this persona, and they don't know how to get out of it. So
For that, I just like to add something because we are talking about emotional regulation and also these genders. It's because we have to somewhere down the line accept the fact that in a evolutionary perspective, men and women or masculine and feminine energies are different. They had a different aspect. They had a different energies because it's interesting that I heard this that back in the day in the Stone Age, man was supposed to go out for hunting.
mm,
Their thing was to protect and to provide. So they saw some deer or some sort of a prey. They were very, they only saw that.
mm,
If they see a threat, they only saw that. So their vision is a bit, I think we call it tunnel vision. I
mm,
think, yeah.
yeah,
So they
yeah,
see only that.
only that.
But females were
Mm,
supposed to stay at home and take care of the kids, nurture the house, do everything. That's why up here again,
mm, mm,
so they see 360 degrees.
360.
So that's one of the differences, with an evolutionary purpose.
Mm,
I mean, perspective. Same wise, I feel like this emotional regulation is also this is a thought for all the mental health professionals out there. I feel like I want to say that we actually have to think from the point of view of men because yes, we counseling or this talk therapy actually has a feminine approach. This can be a very controversial
mm,
idea, I know, but something that I've noticed is talking, expressing, and
mm,
verbalizing your thoughts have always been. I'm not saying it's a feminine trait, but I'm saying it has been very comfortable for females.
mm,
So putting men in that position and asking them to okay speak is a bit. I feel like it's unfair for the
mm,
men. We have to understand their energies.
mm,
We have to understand exactly what they go through, what their life is. And because sometimes actually men just look at certain things and they just wait. Actually, they are not thinking anything.
mm.
But the wife is asking, what are you thinking? Something wrong. You tell me, you tell me, you tell me. Actually, there's nothing going on in
Yeah.
your head. You're just. So there are these differences. So
Mm,
I think when we as mental health professionals, when we actually say men also should speak up, men also should express, sometimes the kind of expression that we are expecting might not be the expression that they are able to give.
mm,
We have to find that middle ground, how men are comfortable expressing and make it more healthier for them to express. So it might be an long journey to
mhm,
experiment and see how men feel comfortable expressing, but they have to
mm,
because expression is a basic essence of being a human being, and because they are not able to verbalize or express in a certain way, they are facing a lot of mental health disparities, unspoken
mm,
disparities, and they are finding very dangerous coping mechanisms like substance abuse,
mm,
alcohol, and they lead to domestic violence and lot of bad things. And then the children sees it and they carry
mm.
forward it. It's a vicious cycle.
I feel like what you said was so true, and it becomes a norm as well. Like that's how men cope. They go to alcohol addiction, those things, and it becomes normal as well. Like it came to a point like, "Ah, okay, that's normal. You're a man." So I feel like we need empathy. Everyone needs empathy. So to understand that, as like you said, in a relationship, that should be a balance. So it's not always about uh, when women they need to be expressed, and men sometimes I feel like, in my experience, like when we express our emotions, it can be attacked as well. So when we show vulnerability through like comparison or like you said, maybe we need to understand the wiring of how men and women are. I think that's something
Yes.
important, regardless of the relationship or whatever it is. We need to understand how that works. If you think, like we talked about, playing the victim, like, okay, this happened to me, okay, I'm a man or I'm a woman, this is how I want to be. That doesn't always work, and it's not a way to, I would say, for a growth mindset. That's a limited mindset. Okay, this is who I am, world should change for me. It doesn't work like that. You need to have that courage to learn your learn about who you are, and know about
Expand
your,
yourself.
expand yourself and know your weaknesses and strength, and understand them clearly. If not, world or everyone is going to hurt you, or in different ways. So I think that's a great way to express our emotions. So if I ask, how can we manage emotions? What are your thoughts?
Talking about how to manage emotions, so obviously you can definitely, if you feel like you have a emotional dysregulation, first of all, like how to identify is that, if you are over overthinking about overthinking, if you're that much
Yeah, yeah.
overthinking and you feel like you are putting yourself behind all the time and you are procrastinating, you feel like you have potential but you're not doing anything, and you feel stuck, you feel um you feel like even these micro incidents trigger you so
Mm,
much, then definitely you have emotional dysregulation. So definitely you can, as always, as said by the professionals, you can definitely seek professional help. And this professional seeking professional help doesn't mean you are a cuckoo.
mm,
It's all right. It's like you're speaking to a like, just like Vygotsky said, a person who knows better
mm,
about it, have done some studies, have got a degree about it. You are telling them a problem, and they are just mentoring you and telling you, okay, this is where this should be, and this is what you're going through. So you can always seek professional help, and in mental health we have CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where we actually identify these cognitive distortions, where like there are multiple distortions, overgeneralization, like all men are dogs. So just because of that we are not getting into relationships, we always don't trust people.
mm,
And then you have this anxiety coming up when
mm,
when you're in relationships, you feel like you will get cheated. And then mental filtering,
mm,
even though you have so many positives, you always look at the negatives.
mm,
So why? And you have black or white, or all or nothing thinking.
mm,
That means like, if I get 100 only, I feel like okay.
mm.
If I get 99, then I'm a failure.
The perfection
Extreme
mindset.
thought, perfectionist mindsets. I think I heard this case also recently. That child was depressed, and why? Because he used to be the top one, and this term he became the top three. So that itself have affected him a lot. So that is an example for all or nothing thinking. So in CBT, what we do is we, you know, pick these cognitive distortions and we do cognitive restructuring. Cognitive restructuring is we give a new narrative, we build a new narrative with them. For an example, I'm a good for nothing person, I'm an idiot, I don't deserve anything, nobody loves me. These are the narratives we get a lot. We try to change them into, I'm doing the best I can and I will continue to do it. Results will show. I am happy about what I'm doing. All or nothing thinking. I did my best. That is all that matters. How I'm feeling after doing it is what matters. So we change the narrative,
Mm,
and we sometimes we question now. Let's say I'm a good for nothing person. I'm never going to get this opportunity in life. I'm not. So what is the guarantee? Can you give a written
mm,
guarantee that you will never achieve something? Then they're like, I'm not quite sure. So yeah. Actually, so that is what we do, and it's not that simple. You have to
Yeah.
definitely go to a professional and the process. And then we have uh, actually we initially had BT, which is behavioral therapy,
Mm.
and then we had CBT. Behavioral therapy, we thought the problem was the behavior, and in CBT we think that the thought behind the behavior is the problem, so we have to sort it out. And now the latest wave is ACT, which is acceptance commitment therapy, where in a nutshell, if I explain, for a person like you who have gone through the incidents, the situations in life that you have gone through, you feeling like this is perfectly all right. Any person who have gone through, has been in your shoes, will feel the exact same. It's true, actually. A person who would have met with a car accident will all definitely, you expect them to come out happy and laughing and throwing up things. It's not gonna happen. They will
Yeah.
definitely feel anxious, traumatic.
Mm.
Yes, of course. But what you feel is fine. What you do with that feeling, we can regulate.
Mm.
It's okay to sit with it, but don't sit on it and wait for years. So that is ACT basically. So in these treatments, we use different modalities to help the person to navigate through these emotions and practice. And we for extreme cases, for an example, for like borderline personality disorder, where you feel things very quite extremely, we have DBT, which is called dialectical behavior therapy, where there are four pillars that we will educate and practice with the client. It's mindfulness, emotional regulation, distress tolerance, and building interpersonal relationships, so skills actually.
Mm.
So apart from that, now that is all the when you seek professional help,
Mm.
these are in a nutshell that what you get. Day to day life, what I can say is, if you feel some sort of an emotion, let's say it can be aggression, it can be anger, it can be sadness, it can be whatever it is, know that you have a valid reason to feel it. It may not be right now. There will maybe the scenes building up to it, but whatever you are feeling is valid, it's fine. Take a pause before acting. Taking that pause, taking that one breath is very important when you feel something. So, for that pause in mental health, we actually introduce these small mindfulness techniques. One is the square breathing, where you square breathing, or there is a particular breathing where your inhale is shorter, but your exhale is
Mm.
longer.
Mm.
This makes sure your vagal nerve is even more calmer. So maybe you breathe in for 4 seconds and you breathe out for 6 seconds. That makes your vagal nerve more calmer. So you can use something like that. You can use square breathing where you breathe for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you relax for 4 seconds. And we also have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. So you name 5 colors
Mm.
you see, 4 things you see, 3 smells, and two. I think there were like senses. You have
Senses.
to,
Yeah.
two tastes.
Mm.
Yeah. So because you are actually what you're doing is right now when you are in that emotion, that is all you see. But when you have that moment to come out of it, just like I said in the beginning, the third person view, you do a particular task and then come back to it, you have some sort of like a okay, it might, okay, was I overreacting?
Mm.
Is this out of a fact, or is this my, you know, like, am I reacting to my boyfriend or
Mm.
to my girlfriend because of a actual reason, or is this my father or my
Mm.
mother
Mm.
from my childhood?
Yeah.
So truly taking that pause to think about it, like, am I reacting to this in a, based on a fact, or it's out of emotions? So that is important. And I know this is a this is prescribed by almost every counselor, but journaling, people have come up with, they say that it's boring what he's writing, but let me tell you, but journaling actually works.
Mm,
But journaling doesn't work for everyone, because if you give journaling for an overthinker, they will finish a whole novel in one night. And if you give like a non-expressive person to write, and whose vocabulary is very limited, they will not write. They will like they will get even more stressed. Now what
stress.
to write?
Yeah.
So journaling is not for everyone, but guided journaling,
Mm,
yes. So that is where again professional help is needed, because mental health professionals will give you the prompts that you have to actually journal about, knowing your capacity. But journaling actually does work, because when you write it, it's there in front of your eyes, and when you read it, sometimes you feel ridiculous. Hi, this is what I was thinking.
mm.
Like, then from that point itself, you're like, no, no, I'm not going to get into this. So these are the like very small things that we can do in our day-to-day life to, regulate emotions. But I would always suggest for everyone, you don't have to be a mentally ill person or have a very traumatic incident like tsunami or Ditwa. You can be a happy-go-lucky person who's having a very small problem, perhaps a promotion or a friendship issue, or this slight irritation you have for your parents, or your time management. You can always reach out to coaches, you can always reach out to counselors. But the difference is, coaches, I think, give a more futuristic perspective. They don't go back and dig deeper and see what is wrong with you, where it all started. Coaches are more like, okay, I understand there's a problem, so let's see what we can do. More solution focused. And counselors are like, you know what, let's go back, let's rectify that situation, and then slowly build forward. So I think these are the things that you can do if you feel like you have emotional dysregulation uh, in your life. Is
I feel like I learned a lot today talking with you about all these tips and tools and things, and about emotional dysregulation and mental filtering, and all the tools you mentioned about how we can manage our emotions and how we can uh, have a little bit of control or do something about it. It's not always about right or wrong. That's something even uh, if share that uh, I share that I was in a workshop with children. So something that we encourage is there's no right or wrong answer. Just whatever you feel, just go with it and share with us so we can talk about it. It's not important to know all the answers or have all the solutions. But like you mentioned, it's important for us to ask for help and go for professionals. And there are a lot of professionals, like you mentioned, like in different ways. Like there are different therapies, different counselors and coaches. So it's always better to try things out to know what works for you. Like you mentioned about the journaling as well. For some people it might work, for some people it might not work. But it's important to try it out and see if it works or not. If you don't do anything, there's nothing you can do about it. So it's better to, I feel like, take that responsibility, and having trying things out will always have an impact. Like if it doesn't work, like you mentioned, having guidance from a coach or a counselor. If this doesn't work, let's try this. That's something I feel like we should have uh, as a support system. And something I want to share is there was a stand-up comedy I saw by uh, Kumel Nanjiani from
oh yes,
yeah.
I know.
So he mentioned about how he went to counseling because he was in a movie that wasn't good, but that's not the whole reason. Or he mentioned about how you don't need to have mental illness to go to counseling. And there was an incident that his father was in accident, and he was upset about not having a t-shirt or something. So what he mentioned was he has a lot of garbage, like emotional things that he haven't worked through. So that's an indication that he recognized there
Yeah.
was an accident and his father was okay and he was also okay, but after like 2 or 3 days he was upset about a t-shirt he couldn't find. So it was not about the t-shirt, it's about his father and scare of losing his father, something like that. So he mentioned a lot about it's better to go for counseling regularly if you have issues or not, because it will help you to understand your past, who you are as a person. And most people do is they go for counseling when it's worse, when things are worse and it's hard to resolve. So it's I would say it's better as a self love, and uh, a way of showing your self love is going for counseling and investing in yourself. Spending money, spending time, and doing things for yourself can have a better way of regulating your emotions and regulating, uh, have a control of your life.
And to add to that, I think something I've noticed along the way with so far the little experience that I've gathered, Sri Lankans are very good at beating themselves up. They are very unforgiving to themselves. They're very it's very heartbreaking to see that. What we need to understand sometimes is that nobody gave you a blueprint of how to live your life when you came into this world. You make this, nobody told you. You are just living, you are experimenting, you are doing certain things, and you are seeing whether this works for me or not. So, counseling is also something like that. And mental health have been developed so well right now. We are in the, I think, the peak of mental health because it's not just talking therapy. Majority of the time I hear with people is that, okay, මට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි ඉතින් වාඩි වෙලා කතා කරා කියලා ඕක විසඳෙන්නේ නැහැ. So කතා කරලා කතා කරා. So what's the point of speaking about it? So yes, okay, so don't speak about it. There are many other modalities that will
Mm,
help you. There's art therapy, there's drama therapy, there's dance therapy, there's play therapy. There's so many varieties of therapies that can actually help you to actually understand you and actually, develop a better life. Just I'll share a small story.
yeah.
uh, uh, we say the cartman. One cartman was going
Mm,
in the wagon,
mm,
taking the wagon. The cow is cow,
yeah.
right? Cow
Yeah.
or buffalo, yeah,
Yeah.
in front, and he was going. And when he was going, he saw this very old person carrying a sack of onions or potatoes, something, and so felt bad. So said, "Okay, where are you going?" They said, "I'm going to the town. It's quite far." So you know what? You get into the cart. I will take you to the town. And then that old person got into the cart and he was driving. A little while after, he looked back. This old person is still keeping the sack of potatoes on your head. What's the point of getting into the car? What's the point of people spending millions and millions of research in the world to
Mm,
study about mental health and come up with so much of facilities if you're still keeping it
keep it.
even after being in a era with so
Mm,
much info, like you're bombarded with so many like information, but we're not actually using it. We are just intellectualizing our okay, you know what, my childhood was very traumatic, so this is why I am, and I know I'm an overthinker, I know I'm a perfectionist, and that is it. You have not solved your problem.
oh,
You have added some,
it is.
titles to yourself. Actually working through it means you have to get into that mud. It's not pleasant. Working through your these things and healing, it will get even more worse, but you need to be brave. It
Yeah.
gets worse before it gets better. And the other thing I want to say is Sri Lankans, they are very used to going to the doctors when they are sick. And we are wired. You have a problem, you feel bad in your body, you go to the doctor, doctor give you a pill, you drink it, after one day you are perfectly all right, fine. Counseling is not like that.
Mm.
Counseling is not a pill. Counseling takes time. Coaching sometimes takes time because you are dealing with not a physical ailment, you are dealing with years and years of structures that is built in your body. Just like when you try to lose your weight, you cannot lose it within one day
Yeah.
because for 20 long years you have been eating junk and all of that. In one day or one week, you expect to have a six pack. That is unreasonable. So just have that mindset when you're, I feel like people, when you reach out to counseling things, it's okay. You don't have a blueprint to
Mm.
live your life. You make mistakes, you learn, you go forward. And the other thing is, counseling is not a mental like pill that you take and you are okay the next day. It requires a lot of work. And you might feel like, okay, I'll listen to some music, I'll go to the gym and lift some weights, I'll do that, that's fine. That is my stress release. But does that rewire your entire nervous system, your all the it's going to come back to you again you're going to run back to these things. But at some point you need to learn, this is who I am, radically accept this is me with all these flaws, and let me go forward with all the help that is there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting what you mentioned about people want quick solutions. They want something quick, and they expect. And one of the things is going for counseling or coaching is to understand yourself and accept who you are as a person, not what you think who you are. So it's important to understand and have that. I feel like keeping your ego aside and be open to things would be much helpful than, like you said, knowing everything. Like the reason I got a laugh was I had few friends who wanted help, but they never go with what really need. So they would talk with me and ask for solutions, and they would say, okay, I will go for travel or listen to music or something like that. In my opinion, okay, it might have an impact, but that's not the solution you might need. You need to talk with someone, be open and talk with the things that bothering you. You need to, like you mentioned, go with that discomfort. If you don't do that, they won't have a real impact. Some people know their problem, they know what's happening, but they are not going out of it. Like they don't come out of it. So even there was a family member who knows everything that's happening, but when I asked, I will take you to a psychiatrist, this is a serious illness, you can get help. She was like, I will listen to some uh, meditation or some religious thing. I was like, okay, that's the best I can do. You can't like you can take වතුරක ළඟට ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන්. You can't um,
Make
yeah,
them
go
drink it.
and make them drink it. So yeah. And you mentioned about not being kind to yourself. I want to add something to that. uh, in Sri Lanka, and I've seen in Sri Lanka, most people are very kind to their family, to their friends, everyone but themselves. So they don't know what boundaries are, and they don't know how to say no, and they will have tough conversations about things that irrelevant, but when it comes to real things, they might not talk about it, and they are very rude to themselves, and they are like their worst critics are themselves. So that's something I have seen is people don't know to have boundaries and don't know to have conflicting like conflict resolution, like to talk about problems in a good manner and have a realistic conversations. Because with the media and with the culture, there are unexpected, like unrealistic expectations and things that they have given as a like a story. Okay, if a man, you should do things like this, and if it's a woman, or if life should be like this. Again, we come to perfectionism. Like, it doesn't always work. It's better to have a honest conversation than those kind of things that we again fooling ourselves. To the end of the podcast, we talked more than an hour now. So what do you think about the podcast, and what do you think about the podcast?
I think I've listened to a couple of podcasts before and this as well. I think it is very interesting to have conversations uh, definitely around these topics because, like I said, it's a great win for mental health. Two men
Mm,
sat and talk about
yeah.
emotional regulation, so that's a great thing. And also some I don't know, this is a very controversial thought or not, but um, we always, when somebody starts a podcast or when somebody starts an interviewing some sort of like a, in YouTube, they always tend to aim the best professionals. They
Mm,
always, and through that, what happens is, yeah, I think after people who with experience for 20-30 years and they have a lot to share, definitely, but I feel like personally, the ones who are under development, rather than the ones who are established, they are more closer to reality and they are more in touch with all aspects of, very especially mental health. And they are also figuring themselves out while trying to help others figure themselves out. So I think they also have a fresh perspective on life, on certain things. I'm not disregarding the expertise and
mm.
opinions, perspectives, but I'm saying that these fresh people who are under development, who are, so I'm really glad that you gave opportunities. I saw how you reached out to people, and it did not mention any sort of like criteria or requirement. It just
Mm.
said if you feel like you have some sort of life experience, you consider everybody as a point of learning. So that is great, and having that kind of platform is really interesting, and it's good for the society as well.
Thank you so much,
And
Jonathan. Yeah.
yeah, like the podcast so far also have been really great, and I also learned a lot of things about from you, and how things work in the world, and how important. Even I realized like how important this emotional regulation is. So yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining. And something I believe is everyone has something to offer. So I'm very curious. Like I mentioned, the reason I'm doing podcast is I'm a very curious person. So I like to learn, and as well as I like to share things as well. So I feel like anyone who has a passion or who has an interest to talk about will have a long way to provide or give knowledge to others. And like you mentioned, I feel like uh, there's no such thing as established or professionals. In my experience, everyone is learning while they are going. Like in life also, like you mentioned, we don't have a blueprint. So everyone is learning while they are living. So in my coaching circle or the place I mentioned about crisis support, there were people who came like in their 70s 80s, who likes to learn, who likes to give their support. There was a person who came like while driving, he's like 80 years old, who came while driving and doing working as a supervisor. So it's very inspirational, and something I have understood by myself is there's no limit, and the limit is what we create ourselves. So opportunities are endless. It's all about we going and creating that opportunity. So that's something I have experienced as well. So when I shared that post, I didn't expect anyone to respond, but many people responded. So I'm glad that they responded, and we had these conversations. So I feel like showing up is half the battle. So I'm glad that you came, and we had this conversation, and we talked about a lot of things, and I learned, and we talked about many different areas as well. So there's a lot of things for someone to learn. I feel like that's something we can do to the community, and someone might learn something from this. That's my goal. Like I said in the beginning, like I don't want like so anything commercial. I just want to share authentic conversations, authentic experiences and life, and having real conversations. That's something I feel uh, make me as a person, and something that nature my soul. So that's something I really been trying to be honest with myself as well. So that's why I wanted to do this podcast, and I'm glad that we came this far. So if there's something to give away to the audience, what would that be?
I think from all the conversation, like the whole conversation that we had, I think on how it's emotional regulation, I just want to say to everyone that whatever that you have been feeling all along, you are feeling it for a reason. You don't have to beat yourself up and say so many negative things about yourself um, because you're feeling something. You're feeling because your body is actually going through something. So let it speak because all along, ever since you came to life, your body was there with you. Every other person came and went, but your body was there with you. And you have to start loving that person, that body that we have, because it never left. And when that body is speaking to you, saying that, hey, there's a problem, you listen to it and you take as much as efforts that it takes to help your body. It may be physically, so you joining the gym or having a good diet and waking up in the morning, drinking a glass of water. That if it's mentally taking, listening to podcasts like this, and reaching out to professionals, and getting yourself updated, improving your emotional vocabulary, and healing those wounds that are stopping you from going forward. And whether it's spiritual,
Mm,
that also I think people don't want to speak about this that much. I mean, if I think Sri Lankans, they do have this religious aspect
mm,
as well. So if you are close to your religion, please do, because that is something that keeps many people grounded. And these religions are religions for a reason, because they spoke some truth about life. Whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Hinduism, whether it's Islamism, it all tells you something to learn about. It improves your life, enriches your life. So please love your body, listen to your body, and don't beat yourself up just because you're feeling something. And if you feel like there's something wrong, always you can reach out to a professional. And when you're reaching out, also please be careful who you are reaching out to. So uh, check for the qualifications, check for the educational background, because we just don't go to anybody to speak about our problems. We always go to a person who we feel, and referrals, yes, might give you good people, but doesn't mean one person's good coach or counselor is will be good for you,
mm,
because everybody's experiences are different. That counselor was good to that person because that counselor himself have done the study for that person's problem. But your problem might be a new problem to that person. That person is also figuring it out.
mm.
So give it a chance. Don't just give up. It definitely works out. And yeah, emotions are not bad. They're actually fun. They bring color to your life. They bring, you know, it actually, that is life. What? Otherwise, you're just a dead body. What would make you feel things, this happiness, this sadness, this disgust? We need everything. That is what, I mean, in films also we say entertainment.
Mm.
We see a broadcasting of emotions. So it's a nice thing, but you have to learn how to regulate it. So
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving that advice, giving that information for the audience. And something I want to add, a short thing is, I have heard that listen to your body. Your best doctor is your body. If you listen to it, there's more that the body can show. And even one thing I believe is anxiety or depression, whatever mental illnesses, that things that happen to you may be giving you sign. It's not a it's not a clear cut. Okay, you have this, not for everyone, but for most people it's just a reaction or a response, not not your life sentence. And like the things we talked about, we might have traumatic things that happen to us, but it's not our whole life. We can learn from our mistakes and learn from life itself. And that's why I'm passionate about life, and the reason I wanted to be a life coach. And like you said, getting guidance is important. So something I have seen is, you go to a psychiatrist for medicine, that's his job, but you can't expect him to listen to him. You should go for a counselor. That's what he does. And he can refer to a psychiatrist. And even for coaching, like we don't take clients who have mental health issues or who needs a counselor, we refer them to a counselor. So it's better to know yourself first and have an understanding, and listen to your body, listen to your mind, listen to your thoughts. It's important to get out of that area and help yourself first to identify. I think, yeah.
Just to add something, because it's important to know the spectrum of mental health professionals very
Hmm.
well. Just like I completely agree. So counselor is a person who, like, if you're facing some sort of a distress, if you're facing a stressful situation and you feel like you need to speak to someone and sort things out, counselor is the most ideal person. But if your distress have become a disorder, that means your functional life is getting affected. Just because you the minute you get out of the house, you feel like, did I check the whether the door is closed, did I check the water is closed, did I take my purse? And this comes to a point where you are late to your work for 1 month, and you're getting notices from your boss. That is disorder. So then definitely you have to reach out to a psychotherapist, or like we say, psychologist. Psychiatrist is when your disorder becomes a have a neurotic or psychotic aspect where you need the medicine to regulate your body. So this is needed to, like, people to understand, because from the first instant itself, people go to psychiatrist. That is fine. There are psychiatrists, very well capable psychiatrists who does counseling and medicine. But with experience, they see everything with a lens of with a medical background. So they will prescribe medicine. And some psychiatrists are very generous, and they do understand the procedure. They request, you have to go for therapy as well. So they prescribe a therapist and a psychologist. So that is how we all mental health professionals should come together. Because rather than, I'm not going to give it to anyone, I'm going to take this client myself and I'm going to, do it. No, we need to be very honest with ourselves as well. If this is within my scope, I'm going to do it. If this is not within my scope, I'm going to give it to the person who actually knows how to do it, even a counselor.
End of the day, everyone wants to help someone, so it's better to
Yes.
ask for help and go with the process. And like you mentioned, it will take some time. It will take a long time, but it's better to ask for help and get out of your comfort zone and uh, ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not a weakness. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Janith, for taking the invite and coming to my podcast and share a lot of information. And I learned a lot, and we share a good conversation. So thank you so much for your time, and I wish you good luck and in everything you do. Uh, Best of luck in your career and in your life.
Thank you, Ramit, for the opportunity, and I wish all the best for your podcast and all the pleasure.
Okay. We'll meet
Yeah,
again. I want to invite you for another podcast in the future about a different topic. We'll have a conversation in the future as well. See you. Have a
definitely.
nice
Sure,
day.
sir. See you. Have a nice day.
Take care.